Hi. Have you heard about the possible government shutdown that could happen this week if Congress does not approve the funding measures? We have been through this before through previous government shutdowns. We've been through threats of government shutdowns. And so, how might this affect your immigration case, whether that's your hearing, your interview, or your biometrics appointment? We are going to discuss that tonight, the government shutdown and how that may affect your immigration case. And this is going to be relevant for this week and if the government shuts down this week. But this discussion will also be relevant as we go forward because if we look at history, normally there are little miniature stopgaps approved and we go on for a few more weeks and then we hit another deadline and then another shutdown is looming. So even if this shutdown is avoided, we may still be looking at threats of those over the next few months. And these procedures, these policy updates should remain as we go forward. So I hope this will be helpful. And this is based on historical information. This isn't based on any information that the government has given us today. But this is how things have been treated in the past when there have been government shutdowns. So I'm Lindsay Wilkes. I'm an immigration attorney with Alight Legal. We are an immigration law firm in Washington, D.C., and we serve clients all over the country and all over the world. We try to bring you up-to-date information or helpful information for your immigration case on a weekly basis. And today we are going to talk about this possible government shutdown and how it may impact your case. So a government shutdown, which happens when Congress fails to approve a spending measure. Right now, if they don't approve the spending measure by the end of fiscal year on September 30th, then we would have a shutdown of non-essential federal services. To avoid this shutdown, the federal government, Congress must pass a law by October 1st, which is the start of the next fiscal year. And if Congress doesn't fund beyond October 1st, then there could be a temporary shutdown of the federal government. What this means is that if it's not passed by this Thursday at midnight, then we will have a shutdown that goes into effect this Friday, October 1st. And the temporary government shutdowns impact non-essential federal workers. There are some offices that are able to remain open. Some services continue, but some services are canceled. Generally, fee-funded agencies remain open. And in the immigration area, we see various impacts. The good news in the immigration area for when we have government shutdowns is that most cases before USCIS are not impacted very much. However, the bad news is that court cases for people who are not detained are canceled. So the biggest impact we see is for court cases. Again, only hearings for people who are currently detained will go forward. Whether you have a master calendar hearing or an individual merits hearing, if your hearing is scheduled during a government shutdown, then that case will be canceled. During the 2019 shutdown, we had actually a few weeks of budgetary negotiations when the entire government was shut down. By the end of the shutdown on January 25th, 2019, the total number of immigration court hearings that were canceled during that period was about 86,000. So it was a pretty big impact. Thankfully, USCIS interviews were able to continue. So marriage interviews continued, naturalization interviews continued, asylum interviews continued. So if your case was scheduled for an interview before USCIS, or if you had a biometrics appointment scheduled during the government shutdown, those did proceed. Also, if you are consular processing abroad, The Department of State is fee funded, and thankfully, visa and passport operations continued. If the shutdown goes on for too long, and even those, like, even if like appropriations or fee funded agencies are under threat, then we could see an impact. However, generally, these agencies do continue to run. With CBP, we are able to continue with entry into the US when there's a government shutdown. CBP law enforcement personnel are considered essential, so the ports of entry remain open. However, the processing of some applications that are actually filed at the border may be impacted. ICE enforcement and removal operations do continue, and check-ins, things like that, continue for those who are reporting to ICE. If you're wanting to file an ombudsman request, the ombudsman's office does close during this period. So that is another closure that we see. But again, the biggest impact we see when there is a government shutdown are for court cases. The immigration court cases are canceled if you are not in detention. Only if you're in detention will your court case proceed. And then the USCIS offices usually remain open. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop those in the video below. We will try to answer those. I can answer those live if any come through in the next few minutes, or as we get notifications after the video has posted that you have left a comment or question, then we will try to come and answer those at that time. If you would like to schedule a consultation for your immigration case, if you have personal questions, you can certainly contact us. We would be happy to review your case, review your questions, and we are hoping that the government shutdown is avoided so that no cases are impacted. However, if those are, or if the government shutdown isn't avoided, then this should give you a pretty good idea of how your case may be impacted. All right, that is all for tonight, and we will be back next Tuesday with more information on immigration cases. Have a wonderful evening.